What's up, guys? This is Nick from NJ Lack Strings. Today I'm showing you a tutorial on how to string the Brine Clutch Elite. Alright, so I've completely unstrung this side so I can restring it and show you guys how it's done. It's a pretty simple sidewall pattern, not that complicated, simple knots. The Lakota, I'm going to do this one next just because there's more complicated and confusing knots, and it's just easier to explain the Brine Clutch. So I figured that would be the first one that I did. So you start out, obviously, regular length sidewall string. Tie one knot at the end. You're going to put it in the second sidewall hole, right underneath the one you use for your top string, right here. And you're going to put it through the bottom of this mesh hole right here. So, just like that. And you're going to come put it through the outside of the next sidewall. We're going to skip a hole, put it in the outside of the next one. And what you're going to do is pull that through, leave a loop here, and then you're going to come up back through the mesh hole right here. You're going to bring it up through this loop like this, and then pull it tight. Just like that. I'll do it one more time just so you guys can see it. Okay, so in through the second sidewall hole, right? In through the second sidewall hole, pull it through, up, through the mesh hole, skip a hole, and go through the outside of the sidewall hole, and then up through the mesh hole, and through this loop, and then pull tight. When you're stringing a stick, you always want to pull the knots as tight as possible. Alright, so next we're going to do what's called a knot, which is similar to an interlock. We're going to skip another hole and go through the outside, and then we're going to go through the bottom of the next mesh hole. And again, we're leaving a loop here. Normally what you would do with an interlock is you would go through the bottom like this, but instead we're going to come over the top like that. If you missed it, you can see it again because we have another knot next. So skip another hole and go through the outside of the sidewall hole, come up through the bottom of the mesh hole, leave the loop, and go through the top and pull it tight. Alright, so next we have regular interlock. So we're going to come through the outside of the sidewall hole. Whoops, we got to skip a hole here. So skip a hole, outside of the sidewall, through the bottom of the next mesh hole, and instead of coming up here like we did with the knot up here, we're just going to go right underneath, put it right through here, and pull it tight. Okay, so you can see the channel's kind of forming already. We're just pulling all these mesh holes tight to the side. Keep this tight up here. So now what we're going to do is, so the pocket bags out nicely, we're going to do a triple up. So right from here, we're going to go up through the bottom of the mesh hole and back under the next mesh hole and back under the next mesh hole. And make sure all three holes are like that, bunched up like that. And skip a hole on the sidewall and go through the outside and then just leave this loop again and pull it through the loop and pull the strings tight again like usual. Okay, now we're going to do a 1, which is pretty much the same as the triple, but it's only 1 mesh hole instead of 3. So you just go through 1 mesh hole, skip a hole through the outside, pull it through. So next, you come through the upper part of the next mesh hole, come through the top, and then you're going to go skip a hole, and you're going to come up and underneath the mesh. So you're going to come underneath the mesh hole like that, underneath the mesh hole, and then pull it through. Keep that tight. And then last thing you do, come above the top of the next mesh hole, just like before, over the top of the mesh hole, pull it out, put it in the outside of the next one, don't skip a hole this time, and then pull it through, and then all you're going to do to tie it off is put it through the inside of the last sidewall hole. So once you do that, get it through the last sidewall hole, pull it tight, tie the knot. Alright, and you're all set. So with the bottom string, you're going to go through the next 10 diamond row, and you're just going to weave in and out of each mesh hole. It's pretty simple. Alright guys, just to sum up the sidewall pattern for you, we're going to start second sidewall hole, skip a hole, interlock, skip a hole, knot, skip a hole, knot, skip a hole, interlock, triple, single, interlock, SI, and then just tie it off at the end.